Well, in my previous lectures, I focused on the different definitions of paragraph. I also discussed the different parts of a paragraph, a good paragraph, an impressive, or an very, you should keep in mind the three parts, or the two parts: the topic sentence, the supporting sentences, and the concluding sentence. Then I told you something about in the previous lectures. I discussed the different features or characteristics of an impressive or a good paragraph: unity, coherence, and cohesion. Today I'm going to focus on the different types of paragraphs. The different types of paragraphs include four main types. The first one is descriptive paragraph. That is the main point of the descriptive paragraph is that it paints a picture. Narrative paragraph tells a story. Expository paragraph explains or informs, and persuasive paragraphs are written to convince the readers. Other types include cause and effect, compare and contrast, and process analysis paragraph. Descriptive paragraphs, it has a purpose, and the purpose is to describe a person, place, or an object in detail. Key features include that you have to your descriptive paragraph must appeal to the five senses: the sense of sight, the sense of sound, the sense of smell, the sense of touch, and the sense of taste, to create vivid mental images. The second type of paragraph, that is known as the narrative paragraph, it has a clear purpose, and its purpose is to tell a story or relate a sequence of events. The key features of the narrative paragraph contain a clear beginning, middle, and end. Often writers write them in chronological order. Expository paragraph, the purpose of the expository paragraph is to inform, or to explain, or to define, or to instruct. Key features include facts, logic, examples rather than opinions. Persuasive paragraphs are written to convince the readers to accept a specific point of view, and the key features include uses arguments, evidence, and logical reasoning to sway the audience. Sway means to convince the audience. Additional types of paragraph include cause and effect paragraph. Its main purpose is to explain why something happened or the results of an action. Compare and contrast paragraph is written to analyze the similarities or differences between two subjects or topics. Process analysis paragraph is written to outline the steps needed to complete a task, often using chronological order. Illustrative paragraph is written to use specific examples to support a general statement. And then we move on to the descriptive paragraph. In this lecture, I am going to focus only on the descriptive, the definition, and the key features and the purpose of the descriptive paragraph. Focus only on the descriptive paragraph. The main definition of the descriptive paragraph is that is the case with all types of paragraphs. So all paragraphs build on a topic. One way to build on a topic is by describing it in detail. Effective description creates images in the reader's mind by using specific details, like a painter using color on a canvas. The writer uses words, the color, to create pictures in the reader's minds, the canvas. Instead of merely writing "the clouds flew by overhead," a writer using good description might write "the billowing clouds like delicious mounds of white mashed potatoes floated lazily by overhead, as though they hadn't a care in the world." Note: the specific details help develop the word painting that describes a person, the place, thing, or emotions. At times, writers want their meaning to convey a feeling of sadness. At other times, they might want to evoke a feeling of happiness, or frustration, or hope, or sarcasm. Effective description aids clarity, depth, and feeling to your writing. There are two types of description: objective and subjective. Objective description relies on factual details without much embellishments. For example, the snowman consisted of 3 round balls. stacked one on top of the other. It stood 5 feet high. Its eyes were round stones with a carrot serving as a nose and a baseball cap set atop its head. From this objective description, you can picture the snowman. However, it is difficult to recognize what emotion or impression the writer wants us to feel. In contrast, subjective description creates an easily identifiable emotion or impression. The snowman's body consisted of 3 plumb balls of fluffy white snow staked like an ice cream cone. Its eyes were made from brightly colored stones with a squiggly pigtail, orange carrot serving as a nose, a fuzzy red baseball cap with a crooked well set cockeyed on his head. From this subject description, it is clear that the writer wants the snowman to evoke a funny or happy emotion. Objective description tells what the writer actually sees. Subjective description shows how the writer feels. There are some important things that you have to keep in mind while writing descriptive paragraphs. The first and the foremost thing is the dominant impression. The content of your descriptive writing or descriptive paragraph will be clearer and more enjoyable if you focus on just one dominant impression. In a descriptive paragraph, each support sentence should build on the dominant or main impression you created in the topic sentence. Adding descriptive detail helps writers achieve these dominant impressions. Writers convey the dominant impression to the reader by a word or phrase in the topic sentence of a paragraph, then support this word or phrase throughout the paragraph by using specific details. For example, no dominant impression. The sky was filled with dark, brooding clouds, and silvers of bright sunlight glistened toward the ground. In this paragraph, the reader will not know the writer's intention. Is the writer trying to convey a negative or positive mood? Let's study the second example, which has a dominant impression. The sky was filled with dark, brooding clouds, and horrible flashes of lightning sent ugly scars across the horizon. In this paragraph, the negative in this is actually one sentence of the descriptive paragraph. In this paragraph, the negative dominant impression is clear. Remember, the dominant impression is the overall feeling or emotional response that you want your reader to take away from your description. The words you choose to make your dominant impression should be specific enough to be easily understood. They should not be vague. For example, the word nice has no specific meaning because it can mean almost anything. Nice can mean friendly or pretty or neat or clean. In the space to the right, replace the underlined word vague dominant impression word in the sentence with a more specific and descriptive word or phrase. For example, vague. The wedding dress was beautiful. So it is very vague, but the wedding dress was dazzling. It means it was brightly colored and it was attractive and impressive. The second most important thing in the descriptive paragraph is sensory images. Description creates images. If your description is good, it will definitely create images in the minds of the readers. It tells the reader what a person or place or thing looks like, feels like, smells like, sounds like, tastes like. These sensory images are based on 5 senses we are all familiar with: sight, touch, smell, sound, and taste. By using sensory images, writers can draw a more fully developed picture of what they are describing. Good description actually causes readers to remember similar persons, places, or things from their own experience. This personal interaction between the reader and the writing is a wonderful and powerful process. Example: sight, non-descriptive. The model walked down the runway wearing a dress. More descriptive. Thus, the spaghetti thin fashion model slinked down the long runway wearing a shining cherry red dress. Touch, non-descriptive. The new bed sheets were uncomfortable. Descriptive. The new stiff bed sheets felt like sandpaper scraping against my skin. Smell, non-descriptive. Fred's car trunk smelled awful. Fred's car trunk smelled like a gym locker stuffed with rotten eggs. Sound, non-descriptive. The band was loud. Descriptive. The band's earring-splitting punk music was loud enough to make your teeth vibrate. Taste. The bread tasted old. Descriptive. The bread tasted musty like moldy cheese I ate at my grandmother's house last year. The third and most important thing in a descriptive paragraph is comparison. Comparisons, another device that writers use to describe something is comparison, also known as figurative language. Comparisons to well-known or everyday objects or images provide descriptions that readers can immediately recognize. Many writers find comparison the easiest descriptive tool because comparisons allow writers to provide clear ideas to the reader by tapping into images and emotions that the readers have already experienced. The three most effective figurative language devices are simile, metaphor, and personification. You have to use sometimes similes, sometimes metaphors, sometimes personifications in order for your descriptive paragraph to be effective. For example, simile. A simile is a comparison using either like or as to show a similarity between two different things. Notice how alike the words simile and similarity are. My boss, examples. My boss roars like a lion at his employees. The fog was like a blanket covering the city, so you couldn't see a thing. The runner was fast as cheetah, and he won the race. The searchlight shined brightly as the sun, blocking our vision. Metaphor. Metaphor is a stronger comparison between two things without using the words like or as. The implication is that one thing is the same as the other. My boss is a lion, roaring at all his employees. The fog was a blanket covering the city, so you couldn't see a thing. Personification. In personification, the writer gives human emotions or characteristics to animals, objects, or even ideas. The tree howled in the wind, love danced in their eyes. The bear cheated his rivals out of their food. The house windows winked at the passers-by. The car rested in the driveway after the long drive home. There are 10 steps you have to keep in mind while writing a descriptive paragraph. That is known as a 10-step process for writing the descriptive paragraph. Experienced writers often follow a step-by-step process that helps them write effectively. As you develop as a writer, you will undoubtedly create your own process. In the meantime, this set of easy to follow guidelines will help you write an effective descriptive paragraph. Number one in the list is choose a topic. The topic should be a person or a place or a thing, an idea or event or situation. Think about the topic. Choose the dominant impression, the overall feeling you want your readers to experience. Write a topic sentence with the dominant impression word included. Make a list of the details you want to include in the paragraph that will support and clarify the dominant impression. Put each of the details into a separate sentence. Rewrite the sentence. Use sensory details and figurative language to create descriptive images. Be certain that the sensory images and figurative devices support the dominant impression. Proofread for punctuation errors, sentence fragments, and run-on sentences. If possible, have another person read the paragraph. Ask him or her to point out any errors or unclear ideas. Rewrite if necessary. Prepare your finished paragraph for presentation to your instructor or to your class or to whatever purpose you are writing for. Example of the 10-step process at work. This is an example of the 10 steps. You have to study this. You can look at it. You can take a picture of this. An example of a good descriptive paragraph. This is a very I have chosen this paragraph for you. This is a very good example of an effective descriptive paragraph, and all the points that I have told you in this lecture are included in this paragraph. I hope you read this paragraph, you understand the points, you pinpoint the points that I have already discussed in this lecture, and I hope you let me know your queries and questions and confusions in the comment section under this video. Thank you so much for listening to me and for paying attention to my lecture. Thank you so much. Wish you best of luck.